Hi everyone, welcome back to another anime recap. This anime is about how a young man gains some new abilities and can easily tame any beast. But even with this ability is looked down up. Will the boy find some latent ability or will he be able to tame something else other than beasts? The show begins introducing Reen Shroud, a young man with an unusual talent beast tamer abilities. This means he can talk to animals and make deals with them to use their powers. Thanks to these skills, he joins Akiro's group and helps with things like transportation, scouting, and organizing. He puts in a lot of effort to support his teammates from behind the scenes, believing his role is crucial. But in reality, others on the team look down on him because he lacks combat skills. Just 6 months into his job, Reen gets fired by the snobby party leader, Arios Orlando. They tell him straight to his face that he's useless and a burden because they always have to save him from monsters. Shocked by his comrades' true feelings, Reen takes off his hero cloak and walks away silently. He sits on a bench in the town square, thinking about all the harsh words they had said, which he had ignored. He needs to figure out a way to make a living. At that moment, a group of kids runs over to him and asks him to show them his trick again. Reen stands up, casts a spell at a bird above, and forms a temporary contract with it. The bird lands gracefully before the kids, who clap with joy. Reen ends the contract, and the bird flies away. The children talk about how they want to become beast tamers like Reen someday. Reen asks them why they don't dream of being brave heroes. The kids reply that heroes are stuck up and look down on regular folks. They'd rather make a fortune by becoming adventurers and traveling the world. This gives Reen an idea. Later in the day, he goes to the Adventurers Guild to find jobs. Nally, the receptionist, tells him that all aspiring adventurers must pass a trial quest to prove they meet the basic requirements. He needs to defeat 10 goblins and collect 20 medicinal herbs to pass. Reen enlists the help of a squirrel to find a group of goblins, which he defeats easily despite his lack of combat skills because they are low-level monsters. While collecting goblin loot, he hears a scream from deeper in the woods. Reen rushes toward the scream and sees a killer tiger attacking a helpless woman. He tries to stab the tiger, but its skin is too tough, and his mech's blade breaks. The tiger then focuses on him, so Reen tells the girl to run. But she doesn't run. Instead, she jumps high in the air and kicks the tiger down, killing it. As Reen looks closely, he realizes she's not an ordinary woman. She's a cat spirit, a rare and powerful being. Cat spirits have incredible athletic abilities. Reen shares some of his food with her since she's tired from fighting the tiger. Energized, the cat spirit introduces herself as Kanide and thanks him for saving her. She explains that she left her small community out of boredom and ended up here. She sensed strong powers in Reen and believes he can tame her. With the motive of getting to know her better, Reen agrees to tame her. He begins a ritual by biting his thumb and forming a magical rune on his palm. With the right words, he successfully forms a contract between them marked by matching runes on their hands. After that, Reen continues his trial quest. He forms temporary contracts with a bunch of rabbits to gather medicinal herbs. Kanide is impressed by his abilities. Normal beast tamers can usually handle only one temporary contract at a time, but Reen can do more even with Kanide, an ultimate species. This sets him apart from ordinary beast tamers, though he doesn't think it's a big deal. Reen returns to the guild with all the required items and passes the test, officially becoming an F-ranked adventurer. Naily gives him his adventurer's card, which acts as his ID, and 50 copper coins as a reward. It's not enough for lodging and other basic needs, so he plans to do more jobs later. Kanine waits for him at the guild's diner. When he returns, a tough guy approaches them and tries to take Kanine to lunch instead of Reen. She defends her master, saying that Reen is stronger. This challenges the man, and he challenges Reen to an arm wrestling match to prove who's stronger. The winner gets to keep Kanide. Although Reen would normally avoid such challenges, he accepts to put an end to any future harassment. Sitting down, he expects to lose, but as soon as the match starts, Reen easily defeats the man, causing the table to break and the man to cry on the floor. Naily intervenes, and she's not happy with the troublemaker. She apologizes to Reen and says the man has made complaints against him and will likely be suspended from the guild soon. She then drags him out by the leg. Reen wonders where his newfound strength came from, and Kanide explains that their contract gives him her superhuman strength. Kanide is excited to start more quests, although she's a bit disappointed when they return to collecting herbs in the fields. Since Reen is just an F-rank adventurer, they have to stick to basic jobs with low pay. They hope to earn promotions as they gain more experience. As they're about to head back, Kanide's sharp cat ears pick up yelling in the distance. They rush to the sound to investigate and find an old man being harassed by a gang claiming to be part of Yvonne Fang, a notorious bandit group known for their wicked deeds. Without hesitation, they both charge at the ruffians, taking them by surprise. Reen, with his newfound strength, easily handles all the bandits, while Kanide checks on the old man. The old man warns them to run, as anyone who defies Yvonne Fang usually ends up hunted down and killed in revenge. Upon hearing this, Reen decides to hunt down the bandits first. Kanai expresses concerns that he might be aiming too high, but he assures her that he has a plan. Following a squirrel, they locate Yvonne Fang's heavily guarded hideout. Reen forms a temporary contract with an Arby, a unique bee with a potent paralytic sting that can immobilize a person for 12 hours. He asks Kanai to return to town and bring adventurers and knights to help apprehend the criminals. As she races off to seek reinforcements, the Arby summons hundreds of its hive mates. Reen forms contracts with each of them and orders them to paralyze the bandits. In no time, all the bandits are immobilized and the adventurers brought by Kanai start rounding them up. Reen notices that no knights have arrived, and one of the adventurers explains that the knights didn't consider it a significant enough matter to intervene. Suddenly, the cave begins to shake, and loud growls emanate from behind massive bars. 3 colossal sea-ranked monsters known as cane lizards break free. Such a situation poses a dire threat even to seasoned adventurers, but Reen and Kanai take care of them effortlessly, buying time for the others to deal with the bandits and escape. As they exit the cave, they are greeted with cheers and applause from the other adventurers, marking the first time Reen's efforts have been appreciated. Meanwhile, Reen's former party members berate their newly hired beast tamer for not conducting proper reconnaissance, putting their lives in danger. The newbie argues that their demands were unreasonable, expecting him to tame 10 to 20 animals simultaneously. He claims that beast tamers can't handle more than 1 or 2 at once because their minds become overwhelmed. However, the hero has become familiar with Reen's abilities, sees through the lie, and fires the newbie on the spot. It takes almost a whole day to arrest and transport all the bandits. The guild is highly impressed by the dismantling of Yvonne Fang and invites Reen to a special promotion, elevating him to an E-rank adventurer and rewarding him with a generous amount of silver coins. They spend their money on new equipment, enjoy a luxurious meal, and finally rent a room for the night, a welcome change from camping. A week passes since Reen met Janad, and their quests have been smooth sailing. One day, Nathalie assigns them a quest to deal with a troublemaker known as the Gore Dog, tormenting people trying to cross Stride Bridge, the sole trade route connecting the central and southern continents. The prize of 5 gold coins makes Reen eager to accept the task. However, gathering information about the Gore Dog proves difficult as nobody is willing to share. So with no prior knowledge, Reen and Jinad head to the bridge. As soon as they arrive, a massive red dragon lands before them, transforming into a woman who challenges them to fight. She identifies herself as Tanya, one of the dragonoids and ultimate species. Dragonoids embark on journeys to train and become stronger once they reach the age of 15. She's been waiting for a worthy opponent at the bridge and challenges them to a 2-on-1 fight, refusing to leave the bridge. She initiates the fight by attacking Reen, but he manages to block her attacks. She then breathes fire toward them, causing Janad's tail to get scorched. Upset, Janad engages in combat with her, and they have a fierce fight. Reen tries to step in and balance the fight, but Tanya surprises them by grabbing both of them and flinging them into the air, launching a powerful firestorm at them. Mid-air, Janad grabs Reen and uses her athletic abilities to evade the flames, safely landing on the bridge. With a plan in mind, Reen asks Janad to buy him some time. Trusting him fully, she confronts Tanya while Reen searches for the bird he spotted when he was thrown into the air. He finds it and forms a temporary contract with the bird, asking it to bring its friends, each of which he tames as well. Following his command, the birds swarm Tanya and pester her. Tanya, a dragonoid, can't be hurt by birds, but before she can take another step, she collapses to the ground. Reen explains that they are pedo birds with poisonous plumage. Unable to move, Tanya accepts defeat. Reen asks her to promise not to cause trouble at the bridge again and to come with them once she's recovered. First, they visit the guild to inform Nathalie that the matter has been resolved. She praises their actions and promises to grant their reward once the guild verifies the claim. She remains unaware of Tanya's true nature and identity. To prevent panic in the town, Reen covers for her, claiming she's just a regular human they met during their quest, wearing a costume. Next, he escorts Tanya to the woods, asking her to move far away from the town to continue her training. She's surprised by his kindness, as she expected to be sold, and asks to join them on their adventures for her training. Kenine hesitantly agrees, and Reen is delighted to expand his party. They finalize the arrangement by forming a contract with Tanya. Later that night, Arios and his party return to town after a week of unsuccessful exploration in the woods. They faced numerous challenges because they couldn't handle the jobs that Reen would typically handle. Arios sees an opportunity to exploit Reen's kindness by inviting him back into the party to clear the lost woods and then abandoning him. However, Reen is wise to their intentions and declines their offer. Things take a twist when the party reveals their mission to retrieve one of the noble relics, the Shield of Truth, needed to defeat the Demon King. Without the relics, defeating the Demon King would be impossible, leading to more chaos and casualties. This revelation reminds Rin of his traumatic childhood experiences and forces him to accept their offer. Tanya and Kanai intervene, demanding an apology from Arios to acknowledge Rin's worth. Arios, too proud to apologize to Rin, mocks the girls by calling them Rin's pets. This provokes Rin to punch Arios, who responds by challenging Rin and his companions to prove who is stronger. Kanai faces off with the bald swordsman and dominates him with a barrage of punches. He tries to use a fancy technique to slash her down, but she simply kicks his sword away. Realizing he can't possibly beat her, he hesitates on the next attack. He questions why such a strong, ultimate species wants to serve the incompetent Rin. His common anger is Kanad, who delivers a kick straight to his face and knocks him out. Next, Tanya faces the party's two mages. They simultaneously unleash their first spells at her, but Tanya stands her ground and simply snaps her fingers. Just like that, their magic dissolves. They try again with different spells, but they disappear again with the snap of a finger. Tanya explains that she is using Material Cleanser, a technique that identifies a spell at the fundamental level and neutralizes it with an effective counterspell. The mages try hurling even more spells to no effect and are eventually too exhausted to cast anymore. Tanya teaches them a lesson by threatening to annihilate them with epic-level magic, but reveals she was bluffing for Rin's sake. Finally, it's Rin versus Arios. Arios tries to make a snarky comment, but Rin cuts him off with a punch to the face. Arios draws his sword and attacks him with rapid swings that are barely visible to Rin, but it's still nothing compared to when he faced Tanya at the Stride Bridge. He finds an opening and punches Arios in the gut. The hero is struck by his superhuman strength, which he is sure he didn't have before. Arios switches to magic, but Rin easily counters the lightning spell with his powerful Dragonoid, strength-infused Fireball. Arios knows Rin only knows how to cast Fireball and heal and launches a bunch of magical attacks that he can't counter. Rin decides to return to his roots and fights how he's most comfortable. Arios charges toward him with magic, but suddenly feels a sharp sting and falls to the ground. Rin shows him the Arby with whom he formed a remote temporary contract during the fight, proving that beast tamers are not useless. Just for the sake of satisfaction, Rin terrifies Arios with an earth-shaking blow. After the fight, the heroes pass on their tasks to Rin and the girls. Apparently, the Shield of Truth is currently in possession by monsters deep in the woods, and retrieving it is indispensable to defeating the Demon King. The trio goes to the Lost Woods to look for it on their own. The Lost Woods gets its name because it constantly changes its shape, causing explorers to get lost in the impossible maze. Reed employs his assimilate strategy to get the lay of the land while the two watch over his body. He returns after successfully finding a path that leads deeper into the forest. They follow the path, but eventually find themselves back at the spot where they laid a rock to mark their way. Tanya suspects something more at play and uses a material search spell to look for strong, magical sources. The light orbs lead the way to a large tree that releases illusionary magic, which messes with the brains of all those within its field and causes them to walk in circles. Tanya asks Kanag to destroy the tree to stop the magic, but Rin suggests Tanya disarm it without killing it. Before that, Kanal launches a powerful kick to the tree. Before she can make contact, an eerie voice comes from the tree, telling them to leave this place. The voice repeats itself over and over again as a glowing girl with wings emerges from the tree. They realize they're witnessing a fairy, an ultimate species with magical powers even stronger than the Dragonoids. They try to explain themselves to the fairy, but she always cuts them off and tells them to leave. Where they don't listen, she threatens to force them out with magic, and they run away without another word. Once they get away, Min explains that fairies condemn humans due to the long history of conflict between the two species. It leads to the fairies, who are forest dwellers, losing most of their habitat and finding sanctuary in the few remaining dense woods. They consider the possibility that the tree's barrier is protecting the Shield of Truth. Tanya and Kana plot strategies to destroy the tree, but Rin decides it is best to try and talk to the fairy once again. When they return to the tree, he asks Kana and Tanya to stay back. He confronts the fairy, who threatens to attack them for real if they don't leave. Rin accepts the attack to show he is sincere and has wished to talk to her. The fairy unleashes a bunch of arrows that graze him, but he remains standing in place with a smile. This shocks the fairy for a moment, and he uses the opportunity to convince her he has good intentions. However, she snaps out of her confusion and launches another attack. This time, Kana and Tanya block the attack and appeal to the fairy by telling her about all the kind things he's done for them. This piques the fairy's interest, and she decides to hear them out. She introduces herself as Sora. After learning of their intention to find the Shield of Truth, Sora reveals herself to be the one who erected the tree's barrier but still refuses to lower it because they're from being discovered. Also, it's not monsters, but fairies who protect the Shield of Truth. Since it is required to kill the Demon King, she hands it over to them. Her hate for monsters runs deeper than her hate for humans. Hence, retrieving this relic turned out much easier than expected. The trio thanks her and makes their way back, but Reen can't shake the feeling that she looked uneasy and returns to ask her if something's wrong. Although hesitant at first, Sora reveals she has a twin sister, Luna, with whom she used to maintain the barrier. However, a few days ago, they left the barrier together for a short period to do something else, but ran into a monster from the Demon King's army called the Shadow Knight. They were unable to defeat it, and it captured Luna and demanded Sora to lower the barrier and reveal the village in exchange for Luna. Unable to turn against all their folk, she ran back to the village and begged the leader for help. But he chose the village's safety over Luna and ordered Sora to ignore the monster's ultimatum. Although she was bound to listen, she can't bear to leave her sister in the monster's hands. Kanae and Tanya wonder how two fairies couldn't beat the monster. Reen explains that even though Shadow Knights are C-rank monsters that would otherwise be easily defeated by ultimate species, they have the nasty ability to absorb all magic, making them impossible to defeat by fairies who solely rely on magic. They agree to help Sora get her sister back. Sora shows them the way to the Shadow Knight. First, Reen draws its attention by throwing a fireball at him, and then he and Kanae ambush him with physical attacks. The monster guesses they've come upon Sora's request and goes to kill chained-up Luna for the betrayal of their terms. However, Tanya protects her from the attack and frees her from her bounds. Tanya escapes with Luna in her arms while Reen and Kanae hold the knight off. None of their attacks are enough to defeat the knights, so Reen comes up with a plan. He forms another temporary contract with an Arby colony and asks them to attack the Shadow Knight. Although their sting won't work on the monster, their swarming distracts it. During that time, Reen uses his special Beast Hammer ability, Boost, to temporarily enhance Kanae's powers. With pure strength running through her veins, Kanae strikes the Shadow Knight with a force that finally destroys it. With the monster defeated, the trio returns Luna to a much-relieved Sora. Although they look completely identical, their personalities are the total opposite. While Sora has a gentle and elegant demeanor, Luna is more open and coarse in her behavior. Sora decides they can't return to the village that abandoned Luna but have nowhere else to go. Kanae invites them to their party. Reen agrees but doesn't want to seem forceful due to the long hatred between fairies and humans. However, they trust Reen to be an honorable human being and request he form a contract with them. He has no prior knowledge on how to tame fairies, making it much harder to form a contract with them. The effort makes him go faint, but the fairies hold him up and greet their new master. After only 2 days of accepting the quest, Reen hands over the shield to the heroes. They suspect him of giving them a fake shield and magically test his authenticity, only to be surprised that it's the real thing. They give him the 20 coins they promised to pay him. Reen turns to leave, but the bald man asks him to join the party again. Areas get enraged that a member invited him without seeking his approval first. The bald man argues that they clearly need Reen's help to defeat the Demon King successfully, and the other members begrudgingly agree. The bald man extends his hand for a handshake to seal the deal, promising better pay and treatment. However, Reen knows they haven't changed and refuse their offer. He already has a much better party waiting for him. After he leaves, the other members try hard to cope with the embarrassment of rejection by insulting him. Arios stays behind, still salty over his disgraceful defeat the other day, and vows to enact revenge. Outside, the group discusses the legend of the Demon King. Reen explains that the Demon King has the power to control all humans, thus enslaving them for centuries. However, the first hero decided to beg the gods for a way to defeat him. The gods bestowed upon him some of their divine blood. With their divine blood in his veins, he was given the unique ability to surpass the human limits in terms of strength and magic and endlessly level up his powers. Eventually, he grew strong enough to take the Demon King down and free the humans. However, the threat of the Demon King still remains. And it is the mission of all heroes in each generation to try and defeat the Demon King once and for all. Although Arios is too weak now, he will grow to one day be strong enough to take the king on. Sora and Lumina bring up how Reen's multiple contracts with the ultimate species have increased his strength many times over a normal human's, akin to the hero's unique ability. They all suggest Reen take on the mission to defeat the Demon King. He admits he would do it if he could. But since it is a big decision, he wants to take some time to make up his mind. One day, the crew thinks it's about time Reen buys some equipment to increase his fighting capabilities. It's the first time Sora and Luna step foot on the town's streets, and they get overwhelmed by seeing so many humans around them. However, they realize there's nothing to worry about after seeing Tanya and Kana get along with the locals. They visit the best equipment shop in town, where all the weapons are crafted by a rather unfriendly dwarf. Reen browses the shelf and picks up a dagger, saying he's the most comfortable wielding one. However, when he unsheathes it, he notices something odd. At that moment, a bubbly young man plots a bag of gold coins on the dwarf's counter and asks for his best weapon. The dwarf picks up a beautiful sword from a collection of identical swords and gives it to him. Pleased with its appearance, the man thanks him and leaves with satisfaction. Reen walks up to the dwarf and asks him if he really gave his best weapon to that man, elaborating that although it's good for a trophy, the sword and all the other weapons in the shop appear to lack something necessary for a real fight. The dwarf glares at him for some time, but then bursts out laughing. He admits that the ones put up for display are average weapons that he can craft with one hand. You see, everybody comes into the shop expecting the best weapon without even considering their own abilities and compatibility with the weapon. He believes it is reasonable for him to want a worthy buyer to take his best crafted weapons. He has a separate collection of weapons he's given his all to crafting, but only those who pass his test can see it, while saying that he unveils a set of high-grade weapons with a unique glow. He's so impressed with Reen that he offers to make a special weapon for him, but he lacks the materials. He says that he needs the ultra-precious mithril ore to craft the perfect weapon. But the mithril mountain passed down to him by his family suddenly ran out of its supply. The sudden stoppage of mithril is unusual, so he suspects something is wrong with the mine. They offer to go investigate the mine for him. Happy, the dwarf accepts their offer and introduces himself as Gans Stoloff. He asks how much they want to be paid as reward, and Reen says he would like his best weapon. Considering it the best answer, Gans accepts his request. After hiking a long way, they finally reach the mithril mine, which looks abandoned at first sight. Still, Reen makes them hide because he suspects there are illegal miners inside, because it is odd that the mithril supply would stop altogether rather than slowly dwindle. Suddenly, a large bird swoops over them and makes a loud call. His suspicions prove correct when two men come out of the shaft to investigate the call. Kenneth and Tanya immediately knock them out, making it impossible for him to extract information from them. Sora and Luna offer to peek inside the men's memories with magic and see the total of 7 adventurers have been illegally mining the mithril for some time. Kenneth wonders how they were found out, to which Reen answers that the bird was probably under the control of a beast tamer who was part of the illegal mining. The other miners inside get antsy because the 2 they sent have returned yet. The mage in the group casts a fire spell inside the passage that Reen's party walks through. Lumen and Sora cast a powerful barrier to shoo it. The rest is a piece of cake for the different ultimates, and they bind all the criminal adventurers. Reen punches the other beast tamer and tells him to surrender. However, he doesn't back down and snaps his fingers to summon a behemoth, a B-ranked monster. Usually, they are untamable because monsters have a natural hatred towards humans, but this beast hunter tamed it when it was a child, so it doesn't have any hatred towards him. The behemoth's attacks cause tremors inside the mine, threatening the shaft to collapse. Everyone except Reen escorts the bound adventurers out of the shaft, and Canonet comes back to assist Reen. Reen will face the monster while Canonet captures the man. If the man can no longer give the behemoth orders, it will stop its attack. Reen learns the behemoth's patterns and dodges all its attacks. Stubenefgade gets a hold of the beast tamer. Reen urges him to stop the monster, but he refuses to until they die. Reen decides to trust his friend's words that he is stronger than all beast tamers and faces the behemoth. He puts all this focus into a spell and overrides the man's control over the monster, becoming its new master. After that, the behemoth stops attacking Reen. Infuriated, the man keeps yelling at the monster to kill Reen, and this causes it to become untamed and attack the man instead. Desperate, Reen releases a huge fireball that instantly kills the behemoth, a regrettable outcome, but there was no other choice. Outside the mine, all the adventurers confess to their crimes. Their motive was revenge because they all were previous clients of Gans and feel they were cheated by him when given those lackluster weapons that failed them in combat. When Gans learns of this, he feels guilty and realizes that he should put passion in all his crafted items for the world to see. He thanks Reen and the others and asks him what weapon he wants. He asks for a dagger and a gauntlet and whispers another request in the dwarf's ears. Gans agrees to make them for him. Meanwhile, Arios rushes through interviews of adventurers who apply to the party's open beast tamer position. However, he turns all of them down because none of them compare to Reen. He dismisses the other member for the day, and she tells him to rest well because his mission is to defeat the Demon King. Arios stays back and takes out a ring surrounded by a dark aura when he's alone, stating that his current mission is to eliminate Reen. One day, Reen and the twin fairies take a walk outside. They're all having fun when suddenly a handsome man with golden locks approaches them and asks the girls their names. Once they answer, he proclaims they will be his. Sora, Lumina, and Reen are dumbfounded and brush him off. He introduces himself as Edgar Fromweir, son of the Lord of Horizon, as if that will convince them to come. When they still don't follow him, he decides to take them by force with the help of his guards. Reen single-handedly defeats all of them. Next, the guards fan out and point their swords at civilians. They all die if he doesn't give Sora and Luna to Edgar. Reen is stumped over in his next move but senses a new instinctual feeling inside him. He decides to trust it and casts Fireball. Multiple fireballs get unleashed at once and Reen over the guards. This is a consecutive incantation, a special ability of fairies to cast a sync spell multiple times in one go, which he must have acquired from Sora and Luna when he formed a contract with them. Edgar is forced to leave the scene. The civilians thank him for saving their life but advise him to leave the town of Horizon and go somewhere far away. Exercising his authority as the Lord's son, Edgar casually kidnaps civilians and eliminates those who resist him. Back home, Reen and the twins recount the incident to Kanad and Tanya, who had been asleep during commotion. They all decide to confront this menace. Kanad and Reen visit the Order of Knights to report the incident, but their complaint is dismissed as too trivial. This confirms the Knights' corruption and collusion with the Lord. On their way back, they notice they're being followed by a knight. The knight introduces herself as Stella, the vice-captain of Horizon's Order of Knights. She laments the corruption of the knights under the Lord's influence, including Captain Guylet. Stella seeks to restore the Order's honor and believes that Reen and Kanad, the rumored adventurer and the cat spirit who confronted Yvonne Fang, can aid her cause. They readily accept her proposal. Together, Stella and Reen's party devise an intricate plan to corner the corrupt knights. They spread a rumor about a warehouse near the sea containing evidence of the knights' corruption and the Lord's involvement. Captain Guylet and the other corrupt knights fall for the bait and investigate the warehouse. Once inside, the door slams shut behind them and Sora and Luna freeze it in place. Reen and Stella are already positioned inside with a tactical advantage. Reen employs a new gauntlet from Gans to shoot magical arrows, incapacitating all the knights except Captain Guylet. Guylet tracks the arrow's source and spots Reen and Stella. Stella insists on dealing with him alone and urges Reen to stay back. Guylet engages her with brute force, taunting her for betraying him, but she gains the upper hand and defeats him. Shortly afterward, news of these events reaches Edgar. Enraged, he resorts to cruelty, beating one of the abducted girls with foxtails. Arios enters Edgar's room through an open window, offering his alliance as another person who dislikes Reen. He presents a sinister ring with the power to bring death to its target, suggesting that Edgar should use it to eliminate Reen. Once the corrupt knights are neutralized, Stella, accompanied by Reen, Kanad, and Tanya, approaches the Lord's mansion, demanding entry. The guards surround them, prepared for confrontation. However, this confrontation serves as a distraction. Sora, Luna, and Reen infiltrate the mansion from the rear to free the kidnapped civilians. Luna uses her material search ability to detect magical traces and locate the abducted civilians, revealing multiple signatures beneath them, indicating their presence. Reen decides to investigate the powerful signal's source while the twins identify and teleport the victims to safety. He enters a room with a strong signal, discovering a dark cell. Inside, he finds a young girl with fox ears and 3 foxtails, a demigod, an ultimate species. She appears malnourished, bruised, and terrified of Reen. He frees her from the cell and uses magic to heal her. Grateful, she introduces herself as Mina, revealing that Edgar had blackmailed her by threatening harm to innocent villagers if she didn't comply with his demands. Reen attempts to remove the collar around her neck, but Mina recoils, explaining that it contains a powerful spell. Upon analyzing the collar's magic, Reen recognizes its similarity to taming magic, designed to subjugate and control its target. He attempts to counter this spell by overriding its control, enduring an electric shock in the process. Persevering through the pain, he successfully breaks the collar. Meanwhile, Tanya and Kanad fend off guards' attacks, who, realizing their disadvantage, decide to use the kidnapped civilians as hostages. In that moment, Luna and Sora arrive and unleash multi-shot fireballs. The twins have already relocated the victims to safety, enabling Kanad and Tanya to attack without restraint. Within minutes, they defeat all the guards and reunite with Reen. They warmly greet Mina, while Reen and Stella contemplate gathering evidence of the Lord's wrongdoing. The Lord suddenly appears, attempting to flee from the mansion. Stella requests his surrender, but he refuses. Reen uses magic to immobilize and silence the Lord, preventing his escape. Edgar then enters the room and attempts to cast a death spell on Reen using the Malevolent Ring. A Grim Reaper materializes and strikes Reen's chest. From a distance, Arios watches this scene with anticipation, believing that Reen has finally met his end. However, Reen miraculously remains standing, untouched by the epic-level instant death spell. Luna tests a hypothesis by casting a poison gas spell on him, which also has no effect. Reen's contract with the fairies grants him immunity to epic-level magic, including instant death spells. Edgar, embittered by his defeat, watches over Reen and his victorious allies. The negative emotions fed into the ring release the enclosed demon, striking terror into Reen's heart as it resembles the same demon responsible for his hometown's destruction. The colossal demon departs from the mansion, its real target being the city's inhabitants. Reen's party follows closely behind, with Stella safeguarding the people and Nana awaiting safety in the mansion. The battle against the demon proves arduous, resulting in injuries to both Kanad and Tanya. Reen boosts their powers, enabling them to inflict damage on the demon. However, the demon continually summons groups of monsters to overwhelm them, making victory seem unattainable. In the midst of the chaos, the hero's party observes from a distance as Horizon falls into chaos. Although they consider intervening to help, Arios commands them to stay back. Nathalie rallies the town's adventurers and arms them with Gan's finest weapons to combat the invading monsters. With the adventurers' assistance, Reen's party manages to reduce the number of monsters. Sora and Luna collaborate with Stella to organize the civilians and mass teleport them to a secure location. Initially hesitant due to their fairy nature, some individuals recall positive interactions with the girls and trust them enough to enter the portals, eventually prompting others to follow. After the first wave of teleportations, another wave of monsters descends upon the area. Sora continues teleporting people while Luna, along with Stella and her knights, confront the monsters. Nana, torn between joining the fight and staying in the safety of the mansion, eventually chooses to participate. She uses her instant teleportation ability to transport Reen closer to the demon, evading its attacks effortlessly. Reen augments his powers with a boost and magically restrains the demon while simultaneously overriding the control of the minion monsters, compelling them to turn against their former master. Surprisingly, the combined assault proves successful, leading to the defeat of the colossal demon. Exhausted from the repeated teleportation, Nina faints, but Tanya swoops in to save her from free-falling. Reen's party emerges victorious, having vanquished the demon. The town's residents quickly commence the rebuilding process in the aftermath of the attack, aided by Kanad's superhuman strength, facilitating rapid reconstruction. Stella is officially appointed as the captain of the Order of Knights in the Horizon Division, while the corrupt knights are transported to the capital for judgment. Although Tanya had concealed her true identity as a dragonoid, it becomes apparent that people had already suspected her true nature. Despite their fairy origins, the town readily accepts Sora and Luna, and they seamlessly integrate into the community. At Nana's request, Reen forms a contract with her, making her the newest member of their party. Additionally, Reen is promoted to a C-rank adventurer by the guild in recognition of his exceptional achievements. Now that their party has grown significantly, they decide to purchase a house as their home base, a common practice among adventurer groups. While the house initially appears to be haunted, they befriend the ghost, welcoming her as a new member of their party. The hero's party attempts to secure free rations from the town, but their extortion fails and the townsfolk drive them away, expressing their discontent over the hero's lack of assistance during the demon attack. The party celebrates their housewarming with a lavish feast. The warmth and camaraderie among his friends evoke emotions in Reen that he hasn't felt since the loss of his parents in his hometown. Overwhelmed by these feelings, he breaks into tears, comforted by his companions as they continue celebrating. Reen eagerly anticipates embarking on numerous adventures with his extraordinary comrades. Well, that's all for now. Make sure to like and subscribe for more. Comment for more recap videos.